Are we ready? Okay, you will need some paper and something to write with. So today is Baggage Cleaning Sunday. And I know typically on these occasions, we open our baggage up, our bag up, whatever you want to call it, luggage, suitcase. And we rummage through it and we find some event in our lives that we want to reconcile with. However, it came to my attention that there's typically something at the very bottom of our luggage, suitcase, baggage, that we very seldom venture towards or reach that deep into. So that's what we're going to do. And this is a little something from Thomas More. He says, perhaps it is the not so normal aspects about ourselves we should become familiar. Of course, my thoughts are, maybe it's not the not so normal aspects of ourselves, but those aspects about ourselves we tend to ignore, or we criticize ourselves about, or we don't explore. For a long time with myself, it was this whole idea of transitioning from one way of life into another way of life. And that whole thing of transitioning, we call it self-criticizing. They call it the critic within ourselves. Anyway, it's a dark area. And it's these dark areas about ourselves that we tend to skirt around. And we've all got them. We've all got them. I'm not going to ask you to share them or anything, but I would like you to, if possible, explore them. And the way we're going to explore that is like a little letter, like write a little letter to ourselves, inquiring about it. And, if I don't want you to rack your brains about anything. If nothing comes to mind, that's fine. Don't go digging around. We don't have time for that. You can grab one of those other pieces of bits in your suitcase or something, and you can explore that. But I thought it might be useful to consider something that's buried way deep down there. Yes, it's very personal, something very personal. And we're not going to share it. I share a lot of stuff that I went through to help to provide examples, to help you explore what's within you, because we've all got stuff within us that we don't explore. And a lot of times when I'm sitting there watching a video, relaxing, I get these wild ideas in my head. Sometimes I write them down. And some of them deal with very bizarre things. Power. Power is a good one, because here I am in front of all of you when you're looking to me for guidance. Okay, I have this power that you are sending to me. You're sending this energy here. And when it's utilized, it becomes power. And I have to be mindful about how I use that power so I'm not taking advantage of you or belittling you or setting myself up above. It's a challenge. And it's one of those things that I have to deal with periodically. I have to grapple with it. I have to write myself a little note and everything. It's tricky because I have seen it in other people and how they allow that power to govern them to the point to where they want more. That's just an example with myself. We all have these areas within ourselves that we skirt. We don't want to delve into. And sometimes it's when we get closer to the ends of our lives here, before when we're getting ready to get our ticket stamped for a passage, that these things, we finally decide to explore these things. And I don't want you to wait until the last minute to do that. Because if you can visit it periodically, acknowledge it, and Jung puts it like this: recognizing the shadow aspect in ourselves acknowledges the same in others, proving such to be beneficial in all relationships. We all have these shadowy aspects of ourselves. And when we get involved in relationships, any kind of relationship, that shadowy self will eventually creep out. It will make itself known. But if you're already friends with it, per se, because we keep ourselves cut up, it's just the way that people teach. Your higher self, your Christ self, your shadow self. We got all these different selves in ourselves, within us. But if you can understand why it's there, why it affects you, then it's no longer in the shadow. It's not out where everybody can see it, but it's not, you're not hiding from it, because that's what we do. Anything that's within us that we try to avoid, we're actually hiding from. And you know what happens when you hide from things? Exactly. Eventually you get found. So it's just a little step in exploration. Take a moment and write down whatever comes to mind with you. If it's not about something about yourself that you're wanting to just wish it would go away and that sort of thing, that's okay. So long as it's something, then just write it down like a letter and close with a question. And I'll give you a few moments to do that. When you're done, don't forget to sign it with love. It's amazing how once you get started, it just seems to flow. And that's a good thing. Doesn't mean that there's a lot wrong with you or anything. It just means that you're inquisitive. It's a good thing. And what we're going to do is I will play this last song that we listened to. It's nice and peaceful and everything. And the difference between meditation and contemplation is that in meditation, you want to just allow those thoughts to flow. But in contemplation, we examine those thoughts. We listen to those thoughts. And we listen for what they have to say to us. So as we're resting in this music, allow those thoughts that you just wrote down to flow through your mind. Speak to them. Ask them questions. Allow them to respond to you. And don't worry about forgetting it or something, because at the end of the meditation or the contemplation, you are going to write a response to yourself. So, are we ready? I want you to begin your response with dear, and now I know somebody is going to be cute with this, but write your name. Then I want you to begin your letter with, I have considered what you have written, and these are my thoughts. You go ahead and finish the response. You don't recall much from the experience, or you feel you didn't get a response, don't worry. This was rather short. Typically, when I do this exercise, I write the letter and then I leave it alone for a couple of days, and then I come back to it. So I don't want you to tell me what you wrote or what the response was. But I would like to know that if the response was helpful, and possibly in what way. So you start with sharing.
Not sure if the response was helpful yet.
Okay, that's a good answer.
I mean, I hope it is, but I'm not sure. I'll know, I'm sure I'll know later on.
Yeah. One of the things with this exercise is you have to learn to trust yourself. Because there's only one person who knows what is best for your highest good, and that is you. So, what was your response, Cindy?
I won't be with the same family in my next lifetime.
Oh, well, of course. This family's done. When you buy a new car, you don't put the same junk in it. It was in the old car.
Yeah.
So, but still, it's good. That's good. How about you, Connie? Was your response useful?
Yeah, but it was obvious.
Well, that's good.
Plain and simple, because you're a dumbass. That was my response.
Yeah, I get those responses myself quite a bit.
Mhm.
So, and Beth is still writing hers?
I'm done.
Oh, she's done. All right, so was your response helpful?
Yes, it gave me perspective that I found rather surprising.
Good. Now, you can use this exercise anytime you want. I would suggest a little more time between writing the letter and then responding to the letter. But, you know, we could just press for time here, and this is the best we can do. But we don't always have the answers readily available. We have the answers, but it's hard for us to just go to our mental Rolodex and flip through it. So this helps us because we get answers that are useful when we focus on what it is that we want. It's like a math problem. To get the answer, you have to focus on everything that comes before it. You have to focus on the formula. And when you get the formula worked out and everything, the answer usually presents itself. But I am not a mathematician, so me and numbers don't get along very well. But that's the general idea. Writing the letter to yourself focuses it. And then when you respond, it's responding to something within you. Something within you. And as Connie pointed out with hers, you may write the response down and say, well, duh. But the one thing that we often miss is what's right in front of us. So I want to close with, and I draw this from Thomas Troward's The Hidden Power. Every person is a concentration of the universal spirit into individual consciousness. Thus, each individual consciousness must discover that we are infinite expressions of the universal spirit. And it is this we are fearful of. We try to work a shadow portion of ourselves instead of embracing the glorious substance that we are. Meaning that we usually pay attention to those aspects of ourselves that we like, that we're comfortable with, and those parts of ourselves that we don't like, we just ignore. I used to have a big issue with anger. Took me a while to get that under control. Just to give you an idea. So, any last thoughts before we close this out? And I'll start with Beth here.
No, I always appreciate these, special sessions. So thank you.
You're welcome. How about you, Connie? Any last thoughts before we close out? Oops.
We lost her.
All right.
We lost her and then we came back and.
How about you, Sharon? Any last thoughts before we close out?
I don't think so. I think I'm feeling pretty comfortable with what I have. Now she's back. There she goes.
Good. Good. That's the idea, getting to know ourselves. The one person that we have the most difficulty in understanding is ourselves. And Connie, any last thoughts?
No, not really.
Okay. And how about you, Cindy? Any last thoughts?
Um, I think that we all think that we're over our past, but then something comes up and we like bits and pieces of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Flashbacks, exactly. Exactly. And they hit us. And the thing is that when it comes to our lives, there is no single solution to it. It's like everything else in nature. It's a process. So I want to thank all of you for your participation, your words and everything. And I want to thank you for allowing me to share this with you.